I'm completely missing something. Maybe I'm completely out of touch of what's going on. But here's my basic understanding. And I feel good about it, but this is my understanding. You have a group of people that have been assigned in the government to basically audit what the government has been spending money on.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going through and they're analyzing, okay, we've done this, we're doing this, because it's our tax dollars that are being forced out of our check, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, they're taking it.
We don't have a choice.
Uncle Sam says, pay me.
And if we don't, then they come after us and take our cars and houses and all this stuff. So somebody's going in and they're looking at it and they're starting to report on things that the citizens of America would probably look at and say, why are we spending this money, our money, on things that are not necessarily benefiting this country?
Oh, really? Like what, Isaac? What could there possibly be that you don't support that the government is spending money on right now?
So maybe there's about 1,000 of them, so you could probably just pick one. But the most bizarre and maybe interesting one is it was $20-some million for Sesame Street in Iraq.
That was a good one.
So things like that, okay? And the White House press secretary even came out and said even more things today that they're finding. So here's where I'm confused and maybe I don't understand. Maybe I'm missing something. Would that not be a good practice for any new administration that's coming in to take a look at what is being sent out the door of, again, our money?
Mm-hmm.
Would that not be a good practice? Because you would think it'd be good practice in a business to say, okay, we're spending $10,000 on this a year. Do we really need to keep doing that? Or even in personal finances, you should be looking at, that should be a yearly thing where you look at, all right, we're spending $5,000 a year on fast food. We need to cut that down to $3,000. How do we do that?
Yeah.
Because I want to simply remind every person that's watching and ourselves that we have a $36 trillion budget deficit, that we are in the hole, $36 trillion, and people are up in arms about this group of people looking at the budget. Am I missing something? Am I not understanding something? Why is this a problem?
Well, as a side of our government continues to say, it's a constitutional crisis, Isaac.
In what shape or form? Explain.
For this oligarch, they say the richest man in the world, which I didn't know that it was him until they started saying it was him. I'd like to fact check him on that. I don't know if he actually is or not. He could be now.
He's the richest man in the world.
He is?
For sure, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought there were some people that were above him.
Well, press secretary even said it today. That he is.
But for him to have his, stinky little paws in our government and the whole constitutional crisis thing, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, obviously.
Go ahead.
Is that he could have a what's the word? The interest?
Conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest,
which was addressed today in the press conference.
Well, the way they're kind of addressing it, and the way Elon kind of addressed it when he was in the office with the big man, was that basically he was like, everything is public record. If you have any problems with this, please bring it up and we'll answer it. So look, I don't know. My answer to you is absolutely every single year you should be with the taxpayers' money. It's like, it'd be different if it's your own household and you're talking about fast food as the example that you used, and you're realizing, you're spending $6,000 on fast food when you can't afford yada yada. Like, if you put that in governmental terms, we're spending $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq, but we're paying $700 to people in Maui who lost everything. Yeah. It's like sometimes you got to prioritize it here and there. The one thing I would say, once again, going back to playing devil's advocate a little bit, do you keep all the receipts from the fast food that you're
No.
buying throughout the year?
No.
And as a U.S. government entity, it's different because you're not spending your money. Like if we're spending our money, it's a little bit different. You know, we can in the moment we say, okay, it's our hard-earned money. I'm gonna buy this Big Mac, whatever.
But somebody else's.
If I was like, hey Isaac, I need $10, and then the next day, hey Isaac, I need $12. Hey Isaac, I need $10 again, and you were like, okay, just I'm only giving you this amount per year. Just make sure you're spending it. Okay. I got $15. I need $15 for another Big Mac. And then Christmas comes around, and at the beginning of the year, and I was like, Isaac, I'm gonna need $100 towards the end of the year so that I can buy all these Christmas presents. But then Christmas rolls around, I'm like, yeah, Isaac, I don't have that $100 you gave me. I spent it all on Big Macs, so I'm gonna need to borrow another $100. Like, that's why we're getting taxed, and they're still deciding not to spend it on what we want them to spend it on. They're spending it on things that obviously a lot of the American people don't agree on. Yeah. So, I mean,
The verbiage is one of my biggest challenges. Is I've heard multiple people say it. Well, they'll say things like, well, it's only $20 million. I'm like, hold on a second. Do you know what $20 million could do for a multitude of people? Just a group of people could literally change their life, could get them out of debt, could take care of medical bills that they can't afford to pay, all this stuff. And you're telling me it's only $20 million? I literally heard somebody say the U.S. aid, they were allocated about $40 billion. And the guy's like, well, that's just a drop in the bucket compared to what the country typically brings in taxes. I'm like, $40 billion? You can make 40 people billionaires if you just decided to use that money differently? Yeah. This is my opinion. I would think that it should infuriate every citizen that's in this country, regardless of what aisle you fall on. Listen, I would be just as upset if this was Biden-Harris that was has their second term and they're looking at everything. I would be just as upset, and I would be happy that they're doing it, because I'm looking at, okay, you are wasting money when you, like you said, there's multiple people around our country that need it. Yeah. And it baffles me that people are so upset about this.
I mean, the first thing that came to mind when you're talking about, it's just $20 million. Like, someone both you and I know who has a solid job, can provide for their family. They're looking forward to this upcoming time when they're going to get a bonus. Yeah. And that bonus, take that $20 million, divide it by 20, then take that, divide it by 100, then take that, divide it by 10, and just that's the bonus that they're looking forward to the entire year. Yeah. And it's like, that's just the difference for one family in America that doesn't even necessarily need it. Like, he's solid, he can pay for his stuff, but that's something he's looking forward to. Now you got all the people, like I said, that have lost everything in these natural disasters, who even a fraction of what he's looking for, take that divided by 10, that could go a super long way for them. Yeah. So, I mean, it's an incredible waste, and it's nothing new. Like, people have known, like, not known as we know now because they're auditing it and putting it out in public and actually, like, putting it in the press conferences and stuff. Obviously it's because Trump ran on transparency. Yeah. And so that's the thing, he's trying to be a president that actually delivers his promises to the people and stuff like that. So he's going all the way with it. All these presidents, I think I've seen in the past, I don't know, maybe the last time they did something kind of like this when they audited the government was like in the 70s or something like that, 80s. Yeah. And even that was more like surface level, and there wasn't something called the internet where you could post literally everything that was being spent on. And so, I mean, they kind of do it here and there with certain presidents that, run on that term of transparency. But today, in this day and age, with the technology we have, transparency is like amplified. It's under a microscope. It's on your X feeds. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. Like, everyone has access to be able to see it now. And so, I mean, we live in a different day and age where something like this is explosive. I mean, it's pretty explosive, and the reaction that they're getting from doing this, not only, I mean, obviously, I don't know about other people, but I expected what is happening with the Democratic Party and how they're reacting to it. And I was watching, I think Mike Benz is his name. He's a dude who kind of was like blowing the whistle on our stupid spending even before Trump was running on his whole transparency thing. And he had said it best, where it's like, it's the same gesture of like when someone goes to prison. They say, well, what do you do to survive prison? You go in, you pick the biggest, baddest dude on the block and you knock him out. That's what Trump's doing with this USA. They're saying that this USAID, which isn't like, that's another thing that I found very interesting that I just heard about probably on a different podcast, where people get this US aid concept and the first thing that they think about is United States aid. Like going towards aid of other countries. That's where they're getting their health care. That's where they're getting, the money to be able to rebuild their communities. Yeah. When really, the U.S. aid program started off as USID. And I believe, I don't remember exactly what it stood for, but it was something along the lines of like intelligence gathering, like, or technology gathering something. It's not originally the aid of what we think of it as today, and it still isn't really that. It's just under the guise of that, and that's why so many people supported it. So I mean, there's just so much misinformation. I mean, we use that term very loosely nowadays because that was used to censor everybody for the longest amount of time. But in the literal sense, in the past 30, 40 years or whatever, since the last transparency thing, there's been so many scrambled ideas of what's happening versus what's really happening. I mean, another perfect example of that is all of this aid money that we've been sending to Ukraine. And then Zelensky comes out and he's like, yeah, we've received maybe 10% of the money you guys have sent over here. Like, where is it? Did it even leave the United States?
Where did it go?
And we talk about all these people who are fighting against this movement of transparency and figuring out where we're spending all our money. The people who are fighting against that publicly, which is obviously the Democrat, how much are they making? Yeah. It might be a drop in the bucket for them because they're millionaires. Yeah. Even though they're not supposed to be.
You don't necessarily want to make any accusations that they're benefiting from it. But when you do look at it, it's like, well, wait a minute. You're personally throwing up a bunch of red flags because you're against us seeing something that you never expected us to see. There was even a congresswoman, I won't even say her name to justify her, but she said there's nothing in the Constitution that says that the American citizens get to see where their money's going.
Yeah,
that's insane.
I know what quote you're talking about. I think I did see something though where like she didn't publicly say that on record anywhere. So I don't know if she actually said that.
Okay, maybe let's say that she didn't, but that's the way they're acting. So regardless, your actions speak louder than what you're going to be saying anyway. Yeah. So you're making it seem like that we don't have any right to find out where our money's going, or that we have a choice of where it's going. Because if that's the case, man, I'm going to stop paying federal taxes.
Well, Trump's trying to get that income tax out of there, man.
But you should be. So should Indiana. There's no reason you guys should be taking money out of our check. You already tax us on literally everything that we could possibly buy or do anything with. It's enough. It's enough.
Man. That just kind of reminds me of like the whole thing that happened probably like a week ago with the Department of Education, where all these freaking Congress people were being barred out from entering and messing with the young 19, 20, 21-year-old wizards that Elon put in charge of like digging in and seeing where the money is being spent and stuff like that. And one of the Congress people that were out there...
That's DOGE. You said Department of Education.
I mean, yeah, the DOGE, the young wizards in DOGE that are auditing the Department of Education. One of the Congress people that were outside the building was yelling at the dude, and they were just bombarding. And kudos to that dude. If I ever saw him in like real life, I'd buy him a beer. He deserves a beer. But one of the Congress people had said, "We pay you. You are a servant of us." I was just sitting there thinking, like, you're Congress
So
people.
are you. Yeah.
Like, wait, shouldn't it be like we don't know who this dude? No one elected him to be in this position, and I understand technically we're all supposed to be paying taxes, including the Congress people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we elected them in charge to collect our taxes and decide what to spend it on.
Right.
Like, who are you to have the right to be able to have that statement even come out of your mouth that we pay you? No, it's the other way around. He pays you. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's just the sense of there's certain areas where there's entitlement, and then there's other areas where they want to play the victim.
Yeah.
And it's like with this whole DOGE thing coming around, I guarantee you, man, that's gonna break the bank of a lot of these people who are causing up a ruckus.
Yeah. And it'd be interesting to see what else he finds out. And the other thing that I want to just briefly point out, my understanding is these DOGE group of people, they're not making any decisions.
No.
All they're doing is going in and they're like a third party and they're saying, here's what we're finding, here's the red flags that we see. Now you as a president, you as a cabinet, you as a Congress, you guys need to decide what happens to this.
Yeah, and then even a step further, they're not going into just anywhere they want to investigate. They're being
directed.
Yeah, directed a certain position by our president.
Yeah.
You know, so he's kind of deciding where they're going to check and stuff like that. I mean, it's all a big ruckus, but like I said, I think any knowledgeable, common citizen, they knew our money was going to bullcrap. I mean, even in our own communities, the potholes on the road, for example. Like, there's always going to be potholes on the road. How much does that cost to fix up? And that's something that directly impacts you. If you're not even seeing something that your taxpayers are directly impacting you in your own community, then how could you know that wherever you're throwing that money is being sent or put to good use?
Right.